like the fact that Kody in this finale kept saying like, I feel like you were an actor and were tricking me, I feel like is unfair because an actor is someone who plays a role, right? Mm-hmm. And Kody was playing a role. I thought the conversation went perfectly because at the same time, I'm a woman, you know, I get like sometimes we have emotions bottled up and you can't judge people for wanting to get that out. And so I'm happy for Kody that she could just release that. Hopefully it gives them closure because I am happy for her and Blac. And you just want them to have the best chance as a couple. And the only way to do that is for her to completely move on. And so I'm glad she said everything she wanted to. And I personally thought Greg took it like a man. He was like, I am just happy for you. I'm happy that you ended up with this person and it worked out the way it did. Everything happens for a reason. And at the same time, I don't know if Greg would have been the best match for her because Kody, you know, takes her responsibility as Bachelorette seriously and she'll be in the limelight for the rest of her life. She'll be the Bachelorette for the rest of her life. And there are moments that are going to be a little more, not staged, but where she has to step into her role, just like, you know, the Queen of England does. She took on the role. Yes. So I don't know if Greg wants all of that all of the time. He seems to be the guy that really wants like real, authentic relationship, could like have a house in Nevada, you know, in a field and just be the two of them. And that's the thing that bothers me though, is that where people are so hard on Greg and we're giving him all of these labels. Like the fact that Kody in this finale kept saying like, I feel like you were an actor and were tricking me, I feel like is unfair because an actor is someone who plays a role, right? Mm-hmm. And Kody was playing a role. So are we going to label her as an actress? No, you know, I think it's just really unfair. So at the end of the day, I think Greg was there genuinely looking for his person, but just a different kind of person than Kody was. And that's okay. We're all, you know, we're not supposed to fall in love with everybody. There's one person for everyone.
Yeah, that's true. I think the acting stuff is so interesting because it's one of those things where every time someone, especially now, more and more, someone comes on the show and stuff starts to come out about them. And it's crazy because I feel like our instinct used to always be to believe it. But then you had someone like a Victoria Fuller who, like, that girl did like that whole thing about how she was like a home wrecker, like all these crazy things. And I feel like we all just believed it. And then I think it turned out to not be true, like, at all. Exactly. Like, I think she's like saving herself for marriage or something. And everyone was accusing her of being a home wrecker. So it's pretty alarming, like, the way this whole world works. Because I did get a few messages from people too, like saying stuff about Greg. And it's like, if you're not, from my perspective, if you're not willing to go on the record or verify things, like I can't do much with a friend of a friend of a friend, you know what I mean? Like hearsay and blind gossip and stuff. Like there is a difference. I know, you know, this is Us Weekly is a tabloid magazine, if you want to call it that, but we do try to verify things, you know what I mean?
No, you do. I agree.
Right. So it's an interesting thing because this conversation around him has been very negative online, but it's not necessarily fair to just believe everything you hear. So for her to kind of believe, like when she brought up the stuff about maybe he really is like a cocky guy from Jersey versus the shy guy on the show, I would understand the frustration of hearing that. And then combined with, you know, her feeling like he flipped a switch and sort of like abandoned her and left. Because I do think that there's something to be said for the argument of if he loved her so much, he might not have quit the show the way he did. But so I think it's really just like all of those things put together is why she feels that way. Because it is a question, like, does she believe the Greg she met on the show, who did come off, I mean, up until the end, they had a very strong connection, or does she believe what she read? And she choose to believe, you know, the stuff she was hearing. And his reaction to, you know, I'm not Meryl Streep and the laughing, it was just a little awkward for me personally.
It was so awkward. And at the same time, we in our minds believe what we want to in order to move on. And if that helps Kody move on, maybe she needs to create that narrative. But at the same time, I think it's unfair to ruin his life and say, you know, you were acting to me the whole time. So, because we're all involved now.
Right.
So at the same time, like, yeah, you know, it worked out. She found her person, and hopefully they could just have peace and be on good terms, because Bachelor Nation is so not incestuous. Well, it is incestuous.
Yes.
And I guarantee you they're going to see each other some more. So hopefully we could all just move forward.
Yeah. I think my other thing about Greg was, because again, like I see both sides to it, and I really think it was so interesting that, you know, I mean, I'm up there asking people Team Kody, Team Greg when I can't even pick, so that's hypocritical of me. But I really do see both sides of it, and I understand why she wanted to get that closure, and like she had all those things on her mind. And then I understand why I think it was he, like you said, he did a great job just sort of taking it and like kind of I think he could have owned it maybe a little more. The no regrets and then having to take that back was a little much, like him saying no regrets. And I also think I struggle with him saying that he didn't know he was going to leave during that second conversation they had.
Right.
When he said he was trying to like get back on the same page. I don't think that's true. I think whether you think he was right or wrong to like react the way he did, I think his mind was made up. I don't think he was going there to get clarity from Kody. I think he was going there to tell her he was going home.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he went in there kind of at his breaking point. I think we all have a breaking point. Yeah. And the whole season, Kody was giving him a lot of validation, you know, in the parameters that she set for herself. And so I completely see Kody's side on that end. But I think, yeah, Greg needed more. And he just wasn't patient enough to sit it out. And so when he went in there, he was, you know, kind of fired up and had his mindset. And yeah, and they ended it because to him it had ended the night before.
Yeah, I think so too.
In that right before the car, if she loved him, to him, he's like, if you would have loved me, you would have broken all the rules, you would have said I love you, and it wouldn't have mattered. And I think a lot of people wish they saw that, what would have happened, but at the end of the day, it worked out, and this is how things were meant to be.